Oye, esto es solo para los rumberos.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Raw Food Muscle, and today we're in my outdoor garden with my hands messy, and that's just the way it is, because that's what happens when you're gardening, man. So you gotta get your hands dirty, man, and there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's something therapeutic about getting your hands in the soil and just working with Mother Earth. So one of the things I'm going to show you guys today, because I'm running out of room for my tomato plants, and me, you know, I just got to have immense amount of food as soon as possible. I knew I was going to be planting some of these things in pots, and so this is a perfect thing for all you guys out there who don't have a garden. And like my good friend SB Vegan, you guys check him out. He's got a whole bunch of tomato plants and all kinds of tomatoes and other vegetables in pots. Okay, so I'm going to show you basically what I do to, you know, make do with what I got with what I have. So I don't have enough room to plant all these tomatoes, and so I'm putting them in pots. And so what I'm doing is I'm using some natural humus and some, you know, 100% organic leaf compost, and this is extremely nutritious for the plants, and they are going to love it. So the pots I have are about 5-gallon pots, and these are my tomato plants that I had growing indoors under my lights. And this particular one is called the Amish tomato plant, and this is a really good variety. We really enjoyed it last year, so I'm going to be planting some of these today. And like I said, I ran out of room in my garden bed, and so what I'm doing is I'm putting them in these pots. And so what I'm doing is I'm just basically just scooping it with my hands and working the soil, so that way you don't have big huge clumps, you know, like this. You know, you want to break that stuff up and then mix it in the soil so that it's all broken up. And now I'm putting some of this really dark leaf compost, and see how rich this is. I mean, it's so rich. When you see that it's dark, that's when you know you got it good. And yeah, you don't want to mess with any of those, you know, packaged soils that have, you know, any kind of chemicals in them. You want to stay away from that. You want to definitely stick with what the 100% organic, natural, either compost, leaf compost, humus, you know, whatever you can find in your local nursery. And actually I got some of these at my local Ace store. Alright, and so now this is how it is supposed to look when it's pretty dry. So I think last time I showed you guys, I pulled this out and it was wet and it was pulling apart. See how it's all intact? You see all the roots in there, and that's exactly what you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant this deep enough so that it's about that deep, okay? Because all this right here is going to turn into roots, and you want it, because, you know, with tomatoes, they grow pretty deep, and they like to be covered up in soil pretty high, because if you have them too close to the surface, you know, they don't do as well. So what I'm doing is I'm getting my soil here and putting it all around, and then what I'm going to do later, I'm going to put a stake on it, so that way it has some extra support. And you can see the different coloration with this humus. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it around a little bit so it's all mixed in together. And you want it straight up. You don't want this thing leaning to the side. And like I said, I'm going to be putting a stake on this so it has extra support. And you can also get one of those like little cages, depending on how tall your tomato plants are. These won't get too tall. They'll probably get about, I don't know, somewhere around 4 feet tall or so. Some of my other tomato plants, like my sun golds, they get extremely tall, and they get about 8 feet tall, and they're extremely tough to deal with. Not that I'm busting on my sun golds, because I love them. They're extremely delicious, but they grow like a big huge bush, And year before last, I think I grew like 4 or 5 of them, and they just took over the garden. I mean, that's how big they are. And I had to restake it with a thicker and taller stake, because I had no idea that it was going to grow so tall. So that was you know, a lesson I had to learn the hard way. And they kept falling over and falling over. I had to keep restaking it, tying it up again, and that's just one of those things that, you know, you have to like learn it through experience. So that's pretty much it, like that. So as you can see, I have them centered in the middle, and I'm just going to put some more of this hummus around here. Alright, and that is it. Now, this is pretty easy to do. You can do this, okay? All you gotta do is get your pots, get your soil. If you're too late to start growing your tomatoes from seed, go to your nursery, your local organic store, and see if you can find some already started organic vegetable plants. Okay, so this is the last of it, and when you're transplanting your tomato plants, you definitely want to make sure that you plant it pretty deep in the soil. So, you know, like I said before, you don't want it to be at the surface. You want to actually be below. Okay, so almost like half the amount if you have the space. And if you're working with, you know, directly in the ground, you can do that. If you have a deeper pot, it's not a problem. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go show you some of the ones I have directly in my garden. But I'm going to show you real quick these herbs that I have. This is my rosemary. I have them both in pots, and I had these put in pots from last year because they didn't do too well the year before in the winter. So I decided to bring them indoors. Now I just bring them outdoors. This one has been outside a little bit longer. He's doing a little bit better than that one. That one's only been out for a couple of days. But check out my blueberries, man. This is one of my older blueberry plants. And see, there's all blueberries growing right here. Look at all these blueberries. Absolutely amazing. Alright, so let's go check out my other tomatoes. Alright guys, so this is my garden bed, and these are the tomatoes I planted directly in the ground, and I buried them deep enough so that they have plenty of room to grow, plenty of roots to spread. And these are about 8 different tomato plants I got growing over here, a couple of different varieties. So I got some of them on stakes because I don't expect them to get too tall. The others I have in these little cages. You know, I'll probably maybe try to get a couple more cages. But as long as I can control, you know, how they grow upwards and they don't fall over too much, I think I'll be okay. So some of these are easier to maintain as opposed to some of the bigger ones like the Sun Gold. So anyway guys, that's it. This is my garden. This is how I'm going to be growing my own organic tomatoes that I can just step outside and eat them fresh. There's nothing like it. So I hope you guys are trying to do your thing out there, and just do whatever you can. Alright guys, so I will see y'all next time on the Raw Food Muscle.